Hello, my name is Mariam Sakina Betia Mapuar. My metric number is L2400705.
First, I will talk about Australian cultural values and social norms. Australia is known as a multicultural society with people from many different backgrounds, cultures, and countries living together. This diversity shapes the way people interact and respect one another in daily life. Australian society strongly values individualism, freedom, and equality. People are encouraged to be themselves, share their opinions, and make their own choices. Everyone is usually treated equally regardless of age, gender, or background. Next, the communication style in Australia is generally direct and informal. People often speak openly and casually even with teachers or supervisors. This creates a friendly and relaxed environment. In university life, students are encouraged to be independent and express their ideas freely. They are expected to take responsibility for their own learning and personal growth.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nohana Farhan binti Manawi. My metric number is L24B0632. Now let's talk about culture background of Australia. The first one is individualism. Australia value personal freedom and independence. In Australia culture, people are encouraged to think independently and voice their opinion. This means students are usually confident to voice their own opinion even though it's different for others. Second one, low power distance. Students treat teacher as equal. Australia has low power distance, meaning there is less emphasis on authority and hierarchy. By doing so, students feel comfortable to ask questions and talk with their lecturers. The last one is low contact communication. Messages are clear and direct. Australians tend to communicate straightforward and direct way. They usually say what they mean instead of using indirect hint or implied meaning. This way is reduce the misunderstanding as a people that prefer honesty and clarity when sharing the information.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Natasha Ashiki binti Zainuddin and my metric number is L24A0664. In this scene, we can see university student in Australia attending a social event where alcohol is present. The students are casually talking, laughing and holding drinks, creating a relaxed and friendly atmosphere. A Malaysian international student is also in the scene. The student looks polite and slightly uncomfortable when offered a drink. This shows culture shock, not rejection. The student does not judge others but feels unsure because this situation is unfamiliar. This misunderstanding happened because party culture is common in Australian universities. Alcohol is often used as a way for students to socialize and build friendship. However, in Malaysia, alcohol is less common in student activity and it is sensitive due to culture and religious values. Because of different, the Malaysian students feel uncomfortable and unsure how to respond. The main cultural values involved here are social norms and religious and cultural boundaries. In Australian culture, drinking in social setting is normal and acceptable. In Malaysian culture, many people prefer social activity that do not involve alcohol. This difference is values causes the feeling of culture shock for the Malaysian student. From this situation, Malaysians can learn that different countries have different ways of socializing. What feels uncomfortable for us may be informal for others. When studying abroad, it is important to be open-minded and respectful, while still staying true to our own culture's values.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. My name is Emilia Batrisha binti Karunizam. So today I'll be presenting scenario 2. So as you can see in this scenario 2, a student, Mark, calling his lecturer just by using her first name, Helen. So this misunderstanding occurs to Alia, a Malaysian student. This is because in Malaysia, Malaysian students will call our lecturers using formal titles like Professor, Doctor, Madam, Sir to show respect and politeness. So when Mark didn't call or use formal titles, just use the lecturer's first name, so it's considered rude to Alia. Other than that, the cultural values that is being violated here is that power distance, because in Malaysia has a very high power distance. Meanwhile, in Australia, Australia has a low power distance.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Izzah Jalaluddin. My metric number is L24A0661. And now I want to explain about third scenes. In this scene, students openly express their identity during a campus event such as Mardi Gras. The event is lively and colorful, with a student wearing a bright outfits and celebrating diversity. This kind of event is a common in Australian university, where students are encouraged to be confident and express who they are. The misunderstanding happens because Australia and Malaysia has very different cultural background. In Australia, individualism is strong values. People are free to express their identity, opinion, and lifestyle choice in public without much restrictions. On the other hand, Malaysia culture is more collectivist and conservative. People are usually more careful about how they behave in public. They consider social norms, cultural values, and how their action might affect others around them. Because of this cultural difference, the Malaysian student may feel surprised, confused, and uncomfortable when observing the event. The student may not be used to seeing such open form of public self-expressions, especially in a large social gathering. This situation does not mean that one culture is right or wrong. Instead, it shows how culture's values shape people's perceptions. What is seen as normal and acceptable in Australia may feel unfamiliar from a Malaysian's perspective. Overall, in this sense, highlight a cultural value difference in public expressions. Particularly the contrast between individualism and collectivism. It shows how cultural misunderstanding can happen when people interpret behavior based on their own cultural experience.
Moving on to what Malaysian can learn from this. So first of all, I think Malaysians should be more open-minded towards differences because not everyone have the same norms, the same culture, and act the same. And difference does not mean wrong. What seems odd or weird to you is not actually wrong. It's still morally accepted to other cultures, to other people with different cultural backgrounds. So it's still acceptable, morally accepted. So you have Malaysians should learn how to appreciate those differences. And other than that, I think Malaysians should improve their intercultural communication skill because we have to learn how to communicate, to talk with people with different cultural background because I think most Malaysian seems likely racist and rude to people who is considered different from us. And last but not least, I think what Malaysians should really do is Malaysians should start adapting to new environment instead of complaining. When they are in different place, different environment, they should learn how to adapt instead of complaining.
Now, moving on, why this misunderstanding occur? The first one is different cultural value and belief. Like from scenario 3, when students openly express their identity during event like Mardi Gras. This reflects how Australian culture encourage people to be proud of themselves. It's totally different from Malaysia culture. The second one happened when we lack of awareness. Like usually before we going abroad, we're supposed to make some research about that country so we know about their culture. For example, like during the scenario 1, when a Malaysian student attend to the university party together with Australian student got shocked because Australian student openly drink and casually socialize. It's totally different with Malaysian culture even though it's normal for them. The third one is culture shock happen when familiar norms no longer apply. For example, from scenario 2, we can see when Australian student call their lecturer using their name, it's totally shock because Malaysian student cannot call their own lecturer using their name. We usually call our lecturer using their status like prof, doctor, and so on. And the last one, different expectation of appropriate behavior. Misunderstanding occur due to the different expectation of behavior. For example, what considered rude to our culture is normal for them, like the scenario 2, when Australian students call their lecturer using their names. It's considered rude in Malaysia because we cannot call our lecturer using their name. We usually call them using professor, doctor, and so on.
To conclude, Australia and Malaysia have different cultural values. These differences affect the way people communicate, think, and behave in everyday life. For example, social rules, manners, and ways of speaking may not be the same. Because of these differences, cultural shock is common when studying abroad. Students may feel surprised or uncomfortable when they experience a new culture for the first time. They may need time to understand new habits and adjust to a different lifestyle. Therefore, awareness and adaptation are key to successful intercultural experience. When students learn about cultural differences and stay open-minded, they can adapt more easily. This helps them reduce stress and build better relationship with people from other cultures.